shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender.
Every time we reach an obstacle, we believe with all our heart that somehow, some way, there's a way over it, under it, around it, or through it.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
When, by ending the system of white minority domination, humanity will have ensured that never again shall the scourge of racial tyranny raise its ugly head.
We will gain the inevitable triumph, so help us God.
Skills one can acquire, values no.
Whatever you do, you got to do the best you can possibly do, and I'm gonna give it everything I possibly can. It's just gonna be, if I don't make it, it's gonna be something that nobody would make it.
We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
We will be able to say proudly, as we have for decades, that within Canada there is ample room for opposition and dissent, but none for intimidation and terror.
And above all, I will ask you to join in the work of remaking this nation the only way it's been done in America for 221 years. Block by block, brick by brick, calloused hand by calloused hand.
I'm Ed duDomaine, and welcome to our Leadership Summit. Leadership is much more than simply a title or a position. It's a quality that's dynamic, not static. For those that are, it's a life's journey. It's every bit as much an art as a science. Leadership translates purpose into practice, theory into action. While a commodity recognized by most, it remains today all too scarce. We are as a people always as anxious to create them as we are in equal measure to destroy them. It's a quality that we all admire, though, often wish to emulate, even attempt to copy. Leadership, too, is a calling, with roots that can be traced either to genetics, the classroom, even the job environment. It can be, and it often is, learned through proper mentoring and coaching. And for many of us, some of our most cherished memories and greatest affections are reserved for teachers, many of which led, showed us the way, mentored us along. But leadership can also be contradictive, inclusive and not, a promoter of hate and love, often divisive, but also inclusive, at times targeted to the heart, sometimes the mind, very often appealing, but at times truly repulsive. The barriers for enlistment are often considerable, involving money, time, sometimes excessive and unreasonable scrutiny too. Ralph Waldo Emerson put it this way. He said, "Our chief want is for someone who will inspire us to be what we know we can be." So where is leadership found? The answer, most everywhere actually. Every vocation, all walks of life. In art, it can be found in Michelangelo's focus or Picasso's creativity. In music, Sinatra's sense of timing, Andrew Lloyd Webber's creative genius. In sports, with Federer's motivation, Jordan's intensity, or Gretzky's known ability to always go to where the puck's going to be. As well, in the military, look at Eisenhower's innate ability to manage and direct the various and difficult personalities around the common objective, thereby, of course, contributing to winning the war. In science, there was Einstein's brilliance, or Edison's proven creativity and innovation. In the field of education, Stephen Hawking's and his productive use of time, or Peter Drucker's insights into the world of business, viewed by him as being as much a science as a profession. And of course, politics. Such examples as Churchill, Roosevelt, Kennedy, Trudeau, with their abilities to envision, to communicate, and to make judgments under the most extreme conditions. In the world of technology, Bill Gates showed us best how to harness a mission. Steve Jobs, how to market to a self-created need. Warren Buffett and his demands for effective management. Or even Ray Kroc, who envisioned a future of hamburgers and fries. In the field of civil rights, we think of courage under fire demonstrated by the likes of Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela. Religion has no fewer examples either. There was Pope John Paul or Mother Teresa, demonstrating not only inner strength and resolve, but a strong moral compass as well. And then there's medicine. Our very own Frederick Banting, who discovered insulin, saving millions from the scourge of diabetes, or Wilder Penfield, the notorious Montreal neurosurgeon. But it is here in the field of medicine that the practice of leadership is today so lacking and so needed. Thomas Lee in Harvard Business Review observed that healthcare delivery is fragmented and chaotic. Healthcare's new leaders must learn to organize doctors in teams. They must organize care delivery around patients' needs and measure results accordingly. Leaders of cutting-edge healthcare are today having to raise quality, efficiency, and value of the services they provide, not unlike business. Sound familiar? And finally, a category with no tab, no particular identity, reserved for some of the richest and the most lasting examples. The likes of Canadian Terry Fox, who displayed incredible courage and fortitude, eventually losing his life, while his charity went on to raise over $60 million for cancer research. And then Anne Frank, a relatively obscure little girl lost in the Holocaust, who left the most lasting and indelible mark on mankind's conscience. So do all leaders just one day appear? Well, not really. Often circumstance unearths the leaders of the moment. Take Churchill, who at 65 came to the fore as a coalition prime minister in 1939, and later a famous author of history, well into his 80s. Pearl Harbor helped to create Roosevelt, restore his popularity, as well as perpetuate his legacy. Bill Clinton would say of him, he surrounded himself with brilliant people who knew more about particular subjects than he did. And Oliver Wendell Holmes famously described Roosevelt as a second-class intellect, but a first-class temperament, allowing those around him to give their best and to make public service fun again. Sounds a whole lot like IQ and EQ to me. But leaders can be as evil as they are good. Take Mussolini, who partook in a series of events that triggered the loss of many lives in the short span of only 5 years. He unearthed and expressed the exasperations and resentments of many within the Italian society of that time. Take Osama bin Laden, who altered the course of modern events, killing first over 3,000 with hundreds of thousands to follow, helping to plunge the world into severe recession and altering the world's order as we once knew it. But that event also gave rise to leaders of good, such as with Rudolph Giuliani. When the dust settled following 9/11, he would then reflect, and I might add wisely. He said every single principle was summoned within hours of the attack. Surround yourself with great people. Have beliefs and communicate them. See things for yourself. Set an example. Stand up to bullies. Deal with first things first. Loyalty is a vital virtue. Prepare relentlessly. Under-promise and over-deliver. Don't assume a damn thing. Stay calm and always retain your humility. But sometimes definitions are better articulated by describing what things aren't versus what they actually are. So for example, leadership is not management. Colin Powell described leadership as the art of accomplishing more than the science of management says is possible. Leadership isn't simply a job either. It's not granted or bestowed or some divine right, but it's earned each and every day. It's not, at least in modern times, male dominant anymore. For today, leadership transcends race, color, creed, gender, sex, age, geography, social class, vocation, or economic circumstance. It also isn't always practical, literal, obvious, but instead very often emotional, spiritual, sometimes hidden. Author William Paganus observed that leadership can be an abstract undertaking, a matter of vision and values, or just plain gritty and practical. In today's internet world, however, leadership can come from virtually anywhere at any time. It is in itself the true democrat, giving the enslaved, the oppressed, the impoverished a voice they never had. Starting revolutions, wars, protests, trends. It's true for business as for anything else. It's power to the people, leadership in reverse. So does leadership come easily to those who demonstrate it? No. In fact, many have had to overcome significant and very often well-hidden adversities. Take Woodrow Wilson, Ted Turner, Tom Cruise, Jay Leno, Richard Branson. They all did, or they still do, suffer from dyslexia. We now know that Churchill had multiple learning disabilities, even a stutter, having to repeat classes as many as 3 times. Yet he went on to personify the determination of the British people. Few knew that Einstein was regarded in his development years as a poor student. Well, tell that to Princeton, New Jersey. Beethoven was a poor reader with ADD. Bell was considered a slow learner, as was Edison, who later commented, "My teacher says I'm addled. My father thought I was stupid. I almost thought of myself as a dunce." So many have had to overcome adversity, whether visual, auditory, motor, organizational, or conceptually based. But they all persevered, and they overcame whatever they had to in the end. So in the world of business, what are the qualities that lead to success there? Jack Welch, the former CEO of GE, summarized it perhaps best into 4 E's and 1 P. Leaders have, he said, energy, operating always at a high level. They can energize, inspiring those around them. They have an edge, the ability to make the tough yes and no decisions. They can execute, delivering on promises made. And they have passion and lots of it, a relentless drive and spirit. But Welch would later find fault with many of today's leaders, for in his mind they have too many meetings, are often too late, have an insufficient understanding of the working processes, and generally aren't responsive enough. His advice to all of them: let your associates see you sweat. Make your associates' problems yours. Communicate less often, and focus on people's strengths instead of their weaknesses. Are all good or great leaders exactly the same? Well, not really. But they all do exercise a certain degree of common sense and share many of the same traits. Authors Neff and Citron from Spencer Stuart studied a number of great business leaders in their book, Lessons from the Top. Their conclusion, just 6 points. Lead with integrity and by example. Develop a winning strategy or a big idea. Build a great management team. Inspire employees to achieve greatness. Create flexible, responsive organizations. Finally, tie it all together with reinforcing management and compensation systems. 6 points, that's it. Bottom line, do the right things right. In the years ahead, there will always be a need for leadership. And someone from somewhere will always step up to fill the void, good or bad. Warren Bennis observed over 25 years ago that without leadership, it's hard to shape a more desirable world. Its absence or ineffectiveness implies the lack of a vision, a dreamless society, resulting in the maintenance of status quo at best, or at worst, the disintegration of society itself, due to a lack of purpose or cohesion. So we best be all up and doing, so as not to be with, as Teddy Roosevelt used to say, those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat because they simply refused to play in the arena. And 2, as Bennis implied, we all need to become a bit more visionary, instead of simply the observers of good times past. And to that point, George Bernard Shaw used to say of himself something that we may all wish for ourselves. He said, "Some men see things as they are and say why. I simply dream things that never were, and I say why not." Now that is true leadership.
And if this principle were established throughout the world, for the freedom of our own country and of the whole, the British Commonwealth of Nations would be in danger.
The best way to get your children to stop being afraid is to stop being afraid yourself.
Those who fear the government will leave. Only those who are prepared for jail going and for receiving bullets should accompany me tomorrow morning.
We have examined where we are strong and where we are not, where we may succeed and where we may not. Now it is time to take longer strides. Time for a great new American enterprise. Time for this nation to take a clearly leading role.
Right, so what's my definition of leadership? It's not like most people's. My definition of leadership is getting people to do what they don't necessarily want to do and have them enjoy the experience.
I see my Canada and your Canada greater than ever before.